Hello, it's now 1 year since the standard gauge railway was operationalized. The SGR is an immensely beneficial rail construction project linking Kenya from the port of Mombasa to the East African sub-region and beyond, and mention has been made of linking the West African sub-region. This will ultimately improve business in the East African countries as well as foster multilateral cooperation. Welcome to your favorite show, Mukami. Today, I'm focusing on the SGR and the recent worrying reports coming from Kenyan SGR workers on mistreatment by the Chinese contractors, something that could put into jeopardy the multi-billion-dollar project if not well addressed. This worrying development concerns reports in our local newspapers of extreme racist treatments of Kenyan workers employed by China Bridge and Road Corporation. As I speak to you, Kenya Railways has given this Chinese firm 72 hours to set the record clear or face sanctions according to the terms of contract and in accordance with the laws of Kenya. Kenya Railways is also investigating these allegations. These reports of racism include, number one, is that the refusal by the Chinese to hand over steering of the commuter trains since the maiden Madaraka Express trip on May 31, 2017, when the president launched the project. Trained Kenyan crew are only allowed by the Chinese to just sit in the driver's cabin and watch the Chinese steer the train. So it was pomp and glamour last year when Shalom and Elizabeth, the first two ladies to steer the SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi, and reports in the press really impressed a lot of Kenyans. Now, with these allegations coming in, we are wondering, was it just for the show? Was it just for the cameras? Or what was it? Because we'd expect that Shalom and Elizabeth are still steering the SGR. But with these new reports that it's only the Chinese who are steering the SGR, then it's saddening for Kenyans. How long does it take to hand over operations of the SGR to Kenyan workers? 10 years? What are you handing over in 10 years? It only takes a few hours for an F-15 pilot to hand over to an F-16 pilot. That's for an aeroplane. What would you say for a locomotive? Now, moving on to another racist complaint is that the controls of the trains are in Chinese and so impossible for the Kenyan crew to read, understand, and apply. Wait, this train is made for Kenyans, but then the controls are in Chinese. Who's supposed to read or who's supposed to learn the other's language? From where I see it, it should be the Chinese contractors who should learn our Kenyan language for easier communication, not the other way around. Come on, even the signages, they are in Chinese. Why should it be that way? It's wrong. The most saddening, I would say, of the racist comments is the unwritten rules that disallow Kenyans dining on same tables with the Chinese in the SGR cafeterias. This is racism of the topmost level that we would not expect that at this time Kenyans are getting colonized again, yet again. We already got colonized. Where are the Chinese coming in to do the same? The Chinese crew are also being accused of smoking in the non-smoking drivers' cabins, sleeping in the coaches, and defecating onto the tracks while in the trains because the drivers' cabins have no toileting facilities. Utter rubbish. Why would the Chinese, a full mature Chinese, why would he defecate on the train rail? Is this how much, or is this how low Chinese treat Kenyans, that they don't even care where they are going to toilet, they just pee anywhere? Well, it's a sad thing to know, like, why would the Chinese even do that? If at all there are no toileting facilities in the train, they should be the ones to come up and say, we need such toileting facilities. Another thing is that trained Kenyan crew have been allocated menial jobs such as gardening, housekeeping, cooking, cleaning, garbage collection, and they are easily dismissed from these jobs and replaced not by another Kenyan, but by Chinese, who then get paid about 4 times more than the Kenyan crew. What happened to the equal work, equal pay? Does it mean that it doesn't apply that when it comes to Kenyans? Does it mean that the government of Kenya hates us so much that it can pay least amount of money to its own citizens who are doing the same work with the Chinese contractors? Well, these issues are among many others. So the question is, who is to blame for this racist, not too allowed behavior by these Chinese foreigners towards Kenyan citizens? Is it the government of Kenya who contracted them, or is it the Chinese themselves? That's a question that we need answers. So the 72 hours ultimatum given by the Kenya Railways has elapsed, and the China Road and Bridge Corporation has not responded. But then again, Kenya Railways, which is the employer for the aggrieved Kenyans, is demanding a report from CRBC. Yet, CRBC are the accused. Now, how fair is that report going to be? The least they could have done is call in an investigative agency and table a fair report to the world. Now, that aside, the Kenyan government, through its spokesperson, Eric Kiraithe, has now added insult to injury. Eric Kiraithe says that Kenyans should not complain because the Chinese are doing us a favor. Now, why should a full government spokesperson, and we believe that he's speaking on behalf of the government of Kenya, unless of course the government again denies, why should he utter such utterances? Utterances that have already aggrieved a lot of Kenyans. That we should bear with the Chinese in our own country. Who should bear with each other? It's the Chinese who should bear with us, not us to bear the Chinese. So Eric Kiraithe should actually apologize to Kenyans for the way he has handled this matter, and let the relevant government agencies who are supposed to handle this matter do it. I am a Kenyan, and like my fellow citizens, we've warmly welcomed these foreigners into our communities. They then respond to our gratitude with this disgusting behavior. We must show our disapproval, our anger, and we must ensure such disgusting behavior will not be tolerated anywhere in our communities. These Chinese are visitors in our country, and if they cannot conform and comport themselves but choose to behave, in such crass ways, then we must send them packing immediately. My take is, we must admit our expectations that our government will condemn these racist behaviors by foreigners on our land is also wishful thinking. This is a sorry state of Africans, that our representatives would rather worship foreigners than stand in our defense and to protect our honor. There is hope for Africans living in dignity and in a dignified future. But when will it come? And should we continue waiting in what feels like hopeless anticipation? Thank you for watching Mukami. Like, subscribe, and click on alert notifications. See you on the next show. Goodbye.